All right, let's run through another Mtel question. This one says, a tournament has 256 participants. For each round of the tournament, half of the teams will move on to compete in the next round and half will be eliminated. Which of the following expressions describes the total number of teams that have been eliminated in the tournament after 3 rounds have been completed? We've got all these answers. Well, we could calculate that, right? So, there's 256 participants. We can divide that in half, and that'll be how many people are eliminated in the first round. Divide that in half again. That'll be how many people are eliminated in the second round. Divide that in half again, and that'll be the people that have been eliminated in the third round, and add those numbers up and see which one of these matches them. That would be like the most rudimentary way to do it, and just test your answer. You could do that. I think that wouldn't take that long. I don't think that's like a reasonable way to solve this problem. Alternatively, we can try to factor 256. All of our answers have like these 2 to some power thing going on. So we can kind of just think about it in terms of the number as well. So I'm going to factor this 256, see what 256 is all about. 256 is kind of a big number, so I can see that it's even. I know that I can divide it by 2, so I'm just going to divide it by 2. That's going to give me 128. Again, I have an even number. 128 might not be familiar to you. I'm going to divide that in half. I get 2 and 64. So this is a factor tree. We're just trying to factor this number and finding numbers that divide into the number available. So 64, hopefully a little more familiar to you. That's 8 times 8. And we can divide 8 into 4 and 2, and the 4s can be 2 and 2. All right, so at the base of our factor tree, at the end of every branch, we've got 2. So 256 is we've got 7 2s here. So 256 equal to 2 to the 7th power. If we divide 256 in half, we're going to take 2 to the 7th divided by 2. So in the bottom of the fraction, the 2 is raised to the first power, right? Any whole number, if it doesn't have an exponent on it, there's like an invisible 1 there. You're raising it to the first power. And when you divide things with the same base, you subtract the exponent. So 2 to the 7th divided by 2 is 2 to the 6th. And I divided this by 2 because that's how many people are going to get eliminated in the first round. So there are 256 participants, and if we divide that in half, we'll get the number of people eliminated. So in the first round, 2 to the 6th power people are eliminated. Just looking at the first 2 answers, they're saying that 2 to the 8th power are eliminated in the first round, it looks like, right? So there's this number is definitely going to be bigger than 2 to the 8th power, which is a problem because 2 to the 8th power is bigger than the number of participants that are even there. So A and B we can immediately eliminate. So 2 to the 6th people are eliminated in the first round, and then we're going to add 2 to the 6th divided by 2, because that's how many people will be eliminated in the second round. 2 to the 6th divided by 2 is 2 to the 5th. And if we divide that by 2, we'll get the people in the third round, which is 2 to the 4th. And if we look at our answers, so D has 2 to the 8th again, but we are dividing it in half. But still, if we divide this in half, we can actually distribute this 1/2 to each number. And by dividing in half, we're dividing each one of these by 2. So we'd actually subtract 1 from each of the exponents. So this would actually give us 2 to the 7th plus 2 to the 6th plus 2 to the 5th, which isn't what we're looking for. We're looking for 2 to the 6th plus 2 to the 5th plus 2 to the 4th, which is exactly what we would get if we divided each of these 3 numbers by 2 by distributing the 1/2 to each one. So C is going to be our answer because if we distribute the 1/2 here, we get 2 to the 6th plus 2 to the 5th plus 2 to the 4th.